I want to go back in time to something that Ian said. You mentioned that even within someone's race, there's great diversity. Well, Ian, I bring you now to a story from Bounding Into Comics.
Boy.
MCU fans claim casting Xochitl Gomez as America Chavez's colorist harass actress for being too light-skinned, wrong ethnicity. Well, so there you have it, Ian. Yes, you are correct. Within different colored people, there's great diversity, but they don't want that. They want simultaneously someone who looks just like the person in the comic while also saying that you can have a black woman play like Anne Boleyn or something. My attitude is, honestly, I don't care who plays a character. Like when Idris Elba was, what's the guy's name in Marvel? With the eyes, you can see everything.
Oh, I can't remember.
Who's the guy who can see everything in Marvel?
I don't know.
He's the Norse god.
Yeah,
I know what
and people are complaining because it's clearly a Norse. It's based on Norse mythology, and he's not exactly as pale as the other ones. And I'm one of those people that I don't have a problem with the race swapping as much as other people, especially if I don't have a strong connection to the source material.
Heimdall.
Heimdall.
But
so people, there's a lot of people who are like, it's Norse mythology and Heimdall is a white man. I'm like, dude, he's an actor. I don't care. Like, there are some instances where I can certainly understand it if you're like, that one's a little too much. When people complain about Anne Boleyn being played by a black woman.
It's because it's a real person.
Right, it's a historical figure.
That's a good point.
I still kind of don't care that much. Because I want someone's performance to
the best actor.
Then I want
should carry
Ian
the
to play
show.
Martin Luther King Jr.
Yes.
Well, therein lies the point.
I can make that happen.
They right now, the woke are complaining that Xochitl Gomez is the wrong color.
Yes.
But they're also the same people who complain that or state that you can have a black person play a white character.
The Little Mermaid is now, yes.
But it only goes one direction.
It only goes one direction.
Because they don't actually believe what they believe.
And they are harassing the crap out of this girl. And it's like, I feel so bad
I'm
for
really
this young actress.
interested in your experience, Dallas. Sorry to cut you off there, but I want to...
Yeah.
you were there. I mean, you're...
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty new phenomenon in Hollywood, right? And so you go back in time and you see movies from 10 years ago when someone did something like this, and now they're getting sort of canceled for it. But the worst case was Scarlett Johansson. Her attachment was going to get a movie made
about a trans
woman. Person,
Yep.
and I think those types of movies can be helpful in normalizing a behavior pattern and things like that. Whether you believe in it or not, I'm just saying as a fact.
And her star power.
And so the trans activist came out, canceled the movie. And now this movie is not going to get made ever. There isn't a foreign sales driving trans name. Now you could say, well, okay, hold it back until there is one. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
15 years, 10 years.
It's
her name recognition drives the ability for that movie to make profit.
And Benedict Cumberbatch, playing a gay man. It's all these different things. It's so exhausting. So again, just the reason why. And I don't want the rules, but once the rules are created, them's the rules.
So look at this real quick. It's this Twitter user, Claudia Amenabar, says, "Oh, whitewashed America Chavez, I am so sorry what they did to you." What? Like, literally what? I don't understand.
Read some of the other ones farther down.
Oh, man.
Well,
they get more insane.
Who attacked her though? Was it the Aaron Rupars of the world, or was it the who made the first?
Okay, America Chavez is a strong, confident, queer Afro-Boricua with queer biological parents and Afro-Boricua adoptive parents. I do not know who this variant in Doctor Strange is supposed to be, but it's not the character whose stories I've been reading for a decade. Okay, so when people complain that Heimdall was played by a black character, I would like to see you say the same thing. Now, me personally, I don't care that Heimdall was played with. I think Idris Elba is fantastic. They talked about, many people were like, Idris Elba should play James Bond. I'm like, he'd actually be a really great James Bond.
He'd be great.
But the problem is these people are acting in bad faith.
Correct.
They would not say like Daniel Craig would be a great, Black Panther.
Yep.
They would never say that.
Nope.
Because they don't actually believe what they're saying. They're just racist lunatics.
I would do the first half of my career in the theater, and it was very much about like anyone can play any role. Is the idea is like give actors a chance. The best actor should have the position. Then I got into film, and it was a different mentality. It was more about you want to be as realistic as possible. So if the person's supposed to be an African American, descent, dark skin, and it's not, then it's very confusing, the film. I like how you pointed out, like, when you're portraying real people, it's a very different thing than portraying a comic book character or a movie character.
And I get the people who don't like it when the actual characters get changed. I get the dislike of race swapping, but it just doesn't bother me the same way it bothers other people.
Have you found it to be different? What were you going to say?
Well, I just love when the left eats itself. I mean, this is such a cell phone.
Look
right?
at she's got the LGBTQ flag pin on her chest, and she's being canceled.
Yeah, this poor actress Gomez is no right winger. Scarlett Johansson is no right winger. This is just pathetic.
Look,
she's not the one that cast her in that role. Somebody else put her there.
There's a tweet up there where they said these actors need to be better about not accepting roles.
Yes.
They're telling you that you need to look at this and say, this opportunity could feed my family, or in her age, like, just could set me up through college, and I need to pass on that because of ideological reasons.
Do you remember when just recently Peter Dinklage came out and said, they're making Snow White and the Seven Dwarves? I mean, really think about what that means. And then a whole bunch of actors, little people actors, came out and they were like, "You're taking our jobs from us. Stop doing this."
Roles in a decade.
Yeah, in 7 Disney movie roles opened up for
could
little
have been
people.
amazing.
I think we found out later that it's just
at a minimum $100,000 each person.
Yeah. He pulled the ladder up behind him. He's a tremendous career. He's a great actor. He was in big movies. He was in Game of Thrones, and now he's like, stop. The only reason he was cast as Tyrion Lannister is because Tyrion is is that character in the book. And so they said, we want someone to fill that role. How about we just get a regular guy to play that character? Yep. If it doesn't matter who plays who, it's all acting.
Well,
right?
what movie is funnier than Elf? So that scene in Elf is so good, and it's just
he was hired for it.
Great in it.
So I think Ian mentioned this, and I looked it up. I recommend you not look it up, but we were like, Snow White and the Seven Dudes.
It's real. It's real.
It's an adult.
It's not what I thought it was. No. I just thought you could change the name.
I think I downloaded the wrong Snow
Cast
White.
whoever. Girls can be dudes too.
So Disney's talking about changing the story somehow.
No, they had already. What did you find out? They'd done that beforehand, so they had already anticipated that this was going to be a problem before they even went into production. They're going to make it 7 magical creatures, all CGI. So a large list of people are going to get paid just a lot smaller amounts on the special effects cast list.
Yeah. But like a unicorn, a dragon, like what is it? Snow White and the 7 magical creatures.
Yes.
That's all they know so far. Is like it was never going to be.
Is Lord of the Rings canceled because dwarves does not reference little people? It's a reference to magical creatures like elves. Are we going to complain about elves being too tall?
There's dwarf with a big D, which is fine, but it's the little D dwarves that you can't say because that's
Lord of the Rings is grandfathered in. If it was a brand new project, no way.
Well, Snow White's not grandfathered in.
No, it's not because it's a new project.
Have you ever looked up the thing that's at like the ginger side, and it's all the redheaded characters that have been removed and replaced with So it's like that's what's going on right now. Like what they did with the Little Mermaid. They've recast the Little Mermaid. So all of these stories are not grandfathered in. You're going to suffer either way.
Here's what I want to add to this Xochitl Gomez story, America Chavez. She was given the role of a queer woman of color who's wearing an LGBTQ pin. And now she is being attacked for it. You know what the ramifications of this will be? No one will ever want to play a character that represents a marginalized group because it'll damage their career, like Scarlett Johansson, like Xochitl Gomez. And you know what? They're doing it to themselves. This means in the future, they're going to be like, we got a great character for the superhero film who turns out to be a gay guy. Everyone's going to be like, no, I'm not going anywhere near that. Sorry.
Whenever they were releasing Being the Ricardos, which is a fine movie, it's okay. There was a lot of talk about Javier Bardem playing Desi Arnaz. Yep. And there is this amazing article in The Hollywood Reporter where Aaron Sorkin talks about all of the different folks, the diversity coordinators that he brought onto set so that he could get away with casting Javier Bardem as Desi Arnaz. It's incredible.
Do you remember what they did to? You mentioned Gina Carano earlier when she had her when she got fired from Disney. But before they fired her, they tried to have her do a 40-person struggle session with members of the LGBTQ community on a Zoom call. Like
She said no
like,
to that?
She said, "I'll do it in person. I'll talk to these people one by one in person in an auditorium. I'm not going to be bullied by 40 people on a Zoom call. That's insane."
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. Like, I'm going to sit here and stare at my camera and be like, dude.
But the average actor, like you said, she's brave. The average actor is like, "Yeah, you can abuse me for the next hour."
That's right.
If Gina Carano was an MMA fighter, I believe. Yeah, she's seen some stuff.
She's not scared.
She's taken a punch in her day, and that's something to be said. Often one of the things I bring up with this, you mentioned people crying about Donald Trump winning the election, and you're like, what is this? I'm like, well, look, if you've never been in the sun, you'll get sunburned. So these people are soft little, blobs of pink jello, and then some other people have dealt with hardship. Someone like Gina Carano, who's trained and fought and had to deal with injuries and getting punched in the face, is going to shrug off the stupidity of words. Someone who's grown up in a pastel safe room with padded walls and beanbags all their lives will step outside quivering and shaking, and then when someone says a naughty word, they'll go, I'm being attacked, it's violence.
A lot of my friends from high school, none of them went into the military really, except for one guy, and at the time I was like, please don't. I was so afraid for him because I thought he was going to get hurt, and I didn't want it. But now, today, he's the most aware, like doesn't care about the stupid stuff. He's fully engaged in like what matters because he saw combat. Once you see combat, there's no joke. There's messing around.
When MMA and the military are both like that. If you like when all the stuff happened with Joe Rogan, the amount of MMA fighters that came out in support of him because they understand that you cannot just let these people bully you.
Well, it's like when you get punched in the face, you kind of realize some things don't matter all that much. Yep. When you've dealt with real hardship.
And if Gina hadn't done what she did, then there would be 10 other people who came after her and showed courage that never would have been able to do it had she not had the courage in that moment.
And it was the way you encouraged her to do it right away.
Absolutely.
That Daily Wire interview was like 3 days later, right?
It was about a week later, but it was as fast as we could do it. But the announcement of the movie came literally within 72 hours or even less, 36 hours even. And we tend, Gina and I talk a lot about being the flak jacket, right? Walking out there, coming on shows like this, talking about our careers, what we've been through, and taking the bullets and showing courage. In many ways, I'm not saying I'm courageous, but I'm saying in order to give other people courage to come out and come work with us and let their American flag fly.
That's why I think humility is so important, because if you can embarrass yourself in front of people, that's courage, man.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Now, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about, so you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.